Good afternoon to all of you. I guess I am amongst all doctors over here, and I'm just pursuing doctorate, so I'm one of your maybe followers, you can say. First of all, thanks to Mr. Shivakumar and the organizing team to contacting me and asking me to come over to share my thoughts on the theme that you have today, fostering the industry and academia relationship and preparing for Industry 4.0. So now I think since morning I was not there, but I believe that Industry 4.0 has been discussed elaboratively over here, and everyone knows what have been the phases through which the industrial revolution have happened, how we have come all the way to where data has become a very important thing. There is a lot of technological improvements which have changed the lives and which have touched the lives of people across spectrum. So no one needs to explain further on that. But at the same time, I would like to delve more on the aspect that as part of the ecosystem where we are working somewhere where we touch each other, because the workforce that generally enters the industry is coming from the academia, and you are preparing them over multiple years, obviously in the UG courses, PG courses, and there are a lot of things that we need to still look at, which will make this a more comprehensive environment for us to work on things and to prepare a workforce which is ready for the future, ready for the Industry 4.0. So from that perspective, I would like to more talk about those aspects. Very recently, if I have to see over the last few years or maybe even 5 to 10 years, there have been more focus on how the government, the state and central government, as well as the industry and academia has been coming together to ensure that we are collaborating, we are sharing what we know and where we can complement each other and prepare something which is more usable for future and creating a better future for all of us. So from that perspective, I think some work has been done. A lot of, but these work that we are seeing are still happening in pockets. So when I look at, and I've been part of some similar conversations and similar sessions across the country where meeting with the university faculty members and the seniors, we've seen a lot of connect programs are being forged, and we're trying to share things, but it is just happening with some known universities, IIMs, IITs, NITs, and it is not going beyond to the general colleges. In fact, if I look at the IITs, NITs, and IIMs, they're just a fraction of the workforce that we are preparing. It's not the entire, and we cannot be assured that with this quantum of workforce coming in, the things will change. We'll need a larger group to contribute to this success that we are trying to create for India altogether. Now, when we think of that, obviously the colleges, the regional colleges, the general colleges that we have in engineering or management degree also need to get that kind of share of attention, as well as they have to participate in that. And that's where the industry has a role to play. So as of now, if I have to simply look, and I'm just making a generalization over here before we get into the specifics of it, we see that industries are very choosy about where they go for hiring people, and similarly, institutes are quite selective about which industries and which companies to approach for getting connected for any kind of collaboration. If we go by that, obviously we are working under the pressure of each other and trying to stand to each other's demands, right? So obviously a known company would always like to have associations with big brand names of academics, and would like to pick from there. So that a general assumption that If you are there, you have something in you, the metal is there. But that does not restrict the other people or the students and the faculties who are working across the country from getting that kind of opportunity. Similarly, as I said, it's a two-way thing that is happening. So no one to blame for, but all of us are here to should collaborate on that and should take the accountability to ensure that these collaborations are developed at all levels. Employers would say that we don't get ready resources who can be deployed to work instantly. Why is it happening? And then this forces the industries or companies to run their own academic programs. You may have heard about each company having a university or a learning academy, and they are working for induct people, train them for 3 to 6 months. This surely shows that there is some gap. What is that gap? How can we work on that is something that I would like to talk a bit about. And that is where we see the lack of employable workforce coming in. While we have enough of people in the country who are ready to work, but are they employable? The answer may be no. And perhaps the responsibility, as I said, will be owned by both the industry, to some extent by the government, and to some extent by the academia also. So going further from here, I basically wanted to talk about the opportunities that we can create for the students, right? And that's where the common thread that between the industry and the academia is the students that you have. They become your alumni network tomorrow, and so for the industries. So to ensure that we are having this, there needs to be more exposure provided. So we have internships, we have multiple other ways and mentoring sessions. But as I said, all of happening in pockets need to be taken to all colleges. All companies need to do that. So how we will, so as I said, it was more of the ownership that we'll have to do, and I as a part of the HR community, I'm certainly aware of this, and we are taking certain steps to ensure that we connect with the universities which are not just in the center of the heartland of the country, but also in the remote areas. And we reach out to ensure that there is some connect developed over there. Generally, when we see building a computer lab is seen as something that is seen as a collaboration that we are doing, or maybe 1 or 2 sessions that we do. But my belief is that these are more of a just superficial or an initial stage of collaborations that we are doing. It needs to go beyond that. So to talk about a few of the things that we can do, and I would dwell on the design principles that we have, design thinking principles. And we first need to understand where we are, and that's what I was talking about. If we look at it currently, we are not actually creating a workforce, full-fledged workforce. It's just 4% or 3% of the workforce which is employable. So how do we, so we first need to recognize that, and we also need to recognize that what is our need. So as industry, our need is to get people who are fully equipped with the necessary skills, which can be technical skills, which can be software skills, as well as the new age skills. When we talk about new age skills, again, because of the abundance of data that we have, data is no more a challenge, right? Earlier it used to be you have to compile data, and that was more of a manual work. Today it all is done through the systems. You just have to get ready to see the inferences from that data, to be able to be more creative, to form some inferences and come up with solutions around that, the problem thinking aspect. And I heard Mahesh talk about some of the things in the last slide when he spoke about certain things that is needed, as in no one focuses on that, and that is what is going to create the ready workforce in some manner, or strengthen that ready workforce for 4.0. So I'll talk about as I said, we first need to assess where we stand, and then from here, how do we progress further? So if I look at it, as I said, first calibrate, because when you look at our collaborations, it is more of a media, creating a creating an impression that yes, we are doing something and have some one day publishing in the newspapers to show that yes, there is some work that is happening and everyone is happy about it, industry, academia, as well as the governments. So I'm not saying that we're not doing anything. I've already said there has been good enough work happening, but we need to further go on that. So once this is understood where we are lacking, what is the areas that we want to support each other, identify those and have some fair discussions with the between industry and the academia to identify what is the need that we are looking at. For example, in my organization, we are all into the IT segment, and finding employees who are ready to work on or do proper coding is a big challenge. We have to invest good amount of time. So can we have some conversations which is actually and giving projects to the students to work on something during their internship. And internships, as I said, are generally started without much of a discussion, and it is very important that those internship discussions happen between the professionals in the industry as well as the faculty to understand what is the outcome that we are looking at. Is this outcome actually just a branding purpose that we are looking at and getting placements, or are we really looking at creating workforce which is ready? So as of now, if I look at it, it is more of focused around placements. It is placements, same for the industry. We want to just get the numbers filled. And if we want to get the numbers filled, we will certainly not get the quality over there. So to ensure that the quality of workforce is created, we need to have those conversations right in the beginning and a detailed one with outcomes which are going to add value to the business assignments that we are giving to these students for a 45-day or 60-day internship programs. I've been talking to some, and some universities are quite open on even extending that to 3 months kind of. So that is where, and that's because if you look at the internships, and you may remember your own internships, it's been more of going and doing some paperwork to Indonesia, or maybe doing some basic work, which didn't give you a real feel of the company that you had worked for. You got to see the building, you got to see the see the systems and all that, but you then never got to know about what was the role, what was the actual work that this company is doing. And until the students get to know, they will not transfer this information to their faculty members. And as we say, if we don't have that initial conversation between professionals and faculty, both will be unaware of what we actually want to gain out of this engagement. So that's where I would say that it is important that all of us over here at least look at it. Going forward, when you are having those internship or placement talks, please do get into those conversations to be at least aware what you are suggesting your students to go for, because otherwise it is left to the student to go and find an internship, do it on your own, just come back, report to us, and we'll give you the credit which is required. So the intent, and that is where I would like to focus more on, because if our motives are a little cockeyed, the results will be also misaligned. And that's what is happening today, that our motives are completely different. And then when we talk about creating a workforce which is ready for future, it will never happen, because we never intended to create that kind of workforce. We were creating opportunities of where we can just showcase that the work has been done. We are using the funds appropriately by creating something. Now in atmosphere like this, where the industry is coming together and sharing certain aspects, and we will get to hear from the faculty members what are the challenges, maybe we will be able to work better on this. So this is a platform which is really going to help obviously in forging this collaboration and take it ahead. Now the second portion can be I would say defining some criteria of who can be our partners. A lot of times we just, as I said, we just reach out to the industry as academia without knowing what is their core competency, and the companies also just reach out to the universities. If they are better famed, then they reach out just to have more and more, assuming that these students will be better, right? But that's not how it actually has been working. And at the end of the day, we are also hiring from the other colleges where we miss out on that. So it's better that we understand those requirements and then go ahead and have understand the core competencies and understand how these whether these competencies are matching, where we can actually complement the other partner. So industry and academia is a partner to each other. If we are not complementing in through this, then we are just wasting our times and maybe not preparing for what we are talking today. Again, when we have this one way of taking this to a ground level execution can be also around when the conversations with the faculty members keep happening at different universities and colleges and the industries in smaller pockets rather than just bigger forums like this, because this is obviously a way of creating awareness, but the actual work will not come out only over here. That needs to be done at college and company levels, where we have to have some common meetings like we have in the teams, where we come together, understand each other's challenges and suggest problems. So that brainstorming should happen at individual college company level, whoever and wherever you are engaging with, whichever company you are engaging with. If that is happening, please ask for that. We are trying to do similar with the company that I'm doing with the company that I'm working for. The third point that I would like to talk about, when we set up collaboration, we need to have the ground rules of that collaboration quite clear. Unless those ground rules are clear, we will not be achieving those things. So maybe look at that aspect. And one important thing, I think Mahesh again touched upon that, about the curriculum improvement. So just taking a look at how frequently we are looking at the curriculum. Obviously, it is not something which the academic institutes can decide on their own. It is something which is at a grand level and a government level, and I'm sure government representation is also here to some extent. So I was looking at it, and the medical curriculum got revised almost after 21 years, and it will be implemented in August this year. Engineering curriculum after 10 to 15 years. And if you look at how the industry has changed, 15 years back, a lot of things that we are using today, smartphones and smart devices, were not even heard of, right? We were just trying to use some of those Reliance phones in the initial, or maybe the big phones that. So things have changed quite differently, and we have not revamped. We are still giving the examples of the old era and then expecting the students to be performing tasks to usher us into the new revolution, be the third biggest global economy and challenge US and China. It will not happen until those curriculum changes happen. But as I said, we understand that it is not going to change just because we or you want it. There has to be a continuous push from both the sides to the government to ensure that they are listening, and some periodic curriculum corrections are done. At the same time, now I see some colleges having those sessions with where they invite people to talk from the industry to talk. That is a good way of at least giving what is the application of the work that or the concepts that we are teaching students. So applicability aspect is being taught, is being covered over here. But at the same time, it is equally important that the faculty members get into and approach the companies to have some project, because not all industry people will be teachers tomorrow. Similarly, not all teachers will be in the industry to get that exposure. So how do we gain that exposure? One is by having the industry people come and talk to the students to give them the actual applicability of those concepts. And the other may be where the college faculty members can reach out for some projects and get associated with that project. We are certainly looking for people who will be open to do some projects with us. The guidance and the consulting aspect of that academic fervor and knowledge is obviously required. So if those projects you can engage with rather than just looking at the placements of students, I think the capability and understanding of industry and academia will be available both sides, in the industry as well as in the faculty members. It's very much important today. Why the students do not have the application understanding of it, because most of the faculty members, or at least I would say most of it, because do not come with an industry background, and even if they come, it may be a very minor experience. That's where the application aspect is not touched upon quite clearly. So that's where I would like to rest. I'm certainly running short of time now. The other things, as I said, all these things that we should be doing will certainly give the students a better perspective of the real life in the corporates. With the current internship programs, with the current exposure, it's just the talks that are happening. It's not the actual look and feel that they get of. But if these exposures are forged between the industry and academia, I think we will be able to give some real feel to the students. One of that example, Persistent, is an organizer of the Smart India Hackathon, which is a grand India level program where we invite colleges, almost 3,000 colleges participate into that across India, and we try to come together and solve social problems with collaboration. So they get some feel of it, how actually what is the work that is going to be there. It is not just coding for something, creating one device only, but it is for solving social problems. So that gives a perspective that it's not one aspect of simply going and working, but to solve the multiple problems which can be in domains of life science, finance, or maybe in telecom and security and all that. So that gives some better perspective to them. This transition will be a little smoother because these interactions will give them a fair view of how the industry, what the industry expects and how the industry operates both ways. And when we have people between industry and academic campuses coming together and exchanging thoughts, obviously we will be able to share that application, the thought application or the concept application to the students, which will not be a gap later on, and the transitioning will be smooth. The ready adoption of these students in the industry and taking them ahead to create a successful India will be something that we will be able to achieve. So that would be I would like to say, and maybe there will be another opportunity that we can talk about later on also offline. We'll certainly look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you.